What's going on, guys? Talking about Zwift racing today. But yeah, we got an invitation to do the Project Echelon virtual stage race, so that was pretty cool. But anyways, I'm gonna run you guys through a stage of the Richmond Challenge B race, which I did after the Project Echelon race. But yeah, I just wanted to test out doing little screen captures of these races and doing some commentary on it because they're pretty fun. So let's jump on in. So first off, let's just take a look at start of the Richmond B race because these races are pretty interesting. They typically start out, seemingly to me, in my experience as far as they start out pretty hard and then they kind of settle in. So at least in this one, you know, we're getting off the line here and it's doing over 400 watts for the first bit. So it's a hard effort, especially at this point when I've been racing the last 3 days. But it's still, you know, that feels pretty tough. But then it settles down and then it just goes hard, pretty much on the climbs, not a ton of attacking elsewhere. But yeah, so now we're settled in, so let's talk about the Project Echelon race, because that one was fun. So the first day we're doing as a meetup style, which was interesting. Like, you don't get separated from the rest of the Zwift world. So we had a 3K neutral rollout, and that was confusing. So it was supposed to be 1.5 to 2 watts per kilo, but I think a lot of guys were going faster than that. I think there wasn't a ton of organization on the neutral the first day. So I was just lost. There's just piles of people all over the place. I didn't really understand like where you're supposed to be at in your meetup. You know, it has it in like green on the leaderboard on the right side. But anyways, so kind of got lost in the neutral. So I ended up by myself. I didn't know if there was a group or if everybody was just kind of doing a solo time trial at that point. So I just went as hard as I could for like the entire hour and ended up doing like 343, I think was my average power. I'll show it on Training Peaks. So 5.6 watts per kilo for everything from the end of the neutral to the finish. So I kind of destroyed myself on that first day for nothing because I was 3 minutes down on GC. Because if you're not with the group, you're not gonna make it happen. So anyways, that was day one, just hard solo effort. Day two, legs were pretty tired going into it, but had a ton of fun. Actually got through the neutral, made sure I was in the front of the neutral, probably going too hard actually, but just like wasn't gonna get dropped. So I went back to the group when the neutral was up. But that was, honestly, I was kind of wishing that I was doing a solo time trial that day because it was super hard when they were punching over the climbs. Because it never really let up. So you're doing like, for me, I was doing like 250 watts pretty much the entire race, and then probably punching somewhere between 400 and 500 watts on any of the climbs. So it was hard not knowing the course profile. I tacked at the wrong time at the end, so heading into a final climb, and ended up getting popped. My screen froze, and then I didn't really know where I was at. I don't know if that delayed my guy at all, but I ended up like a minute back. So either they were just had it pegged over that last climb, and it's like the volcano climb, so it's like 2.5% or something. So not steep. But anyways, lost a bit of time there. There were some guys up the road. A Project Echelon guy was up the road, and a guy from Landish Trek. So they had a solid day. They went with like 8 miles to go and just stayed away. So kudos to those guys. Day three, kind of same thing. Legs are smoked at that point. Kind of same thing. It was like a little bit easier at points, but nonetheless, it was going hard over the climbs. I would say it eased off a little bit more in between the climbing bits. But then I just got popped at one point. We were going super hard and I just couldn't produce the power to stay on the wheel. And I have to say, it felt very familiar into how my races usually play out at the beginning of the year, where I haven't done a ton of high intensity yet. So I was pretty stoked actually that I could get that feeling in the legs sitting on a trainer at home, where usually you have to go out and ride with people. So overall, pretty excited about Zwift racing. It's cool to be able to replicate outdoor efforts, indoor training, and get to race with anybody in the world really. So pretty excited about it. I mean, didn't get any result there, but wasn't really, to be honest, wasn't really expecting too much. You know, first time on Zwift, just kind of checking out how to do online racing, but man, I'm hooked. It was fun. So I'll definitely be doing more of these. Yeah, so that was the Project Echelon racing. That was super fun. I think there's gonna be more to come. I'll try to record some of those so we have the footage, and I'll be doing some recaps of the racing on there, and hopefully we'll have some more Team California guys out there as well. Brian Larson also joined me on days 2 and 3, and you know, he had a huge crash last year, so props to him for being back out, you know, not obviously being back inside, but being back on the bike, pushing hard, putting out hard effort. So super cool actually to be able to have you know, a guy like that who can't ride outside yet be able to race with us. So there are definitely some really cool things about racing indoors, racing on the trainer. You know, obviously it takes all of the danger out of it. You're not going to crash. You shouldn't crash on your indoor trainer. I hope not. But so let's jump into the Richmond race. All right, so we're going to jump ahead. The decisive points, so this is the Richmond course. It's the World Championship course from 2015, I think, where Peter Sagan won. And really cool to get to ride this course. It is interesting, you know, having watched the race, but then getting to feel what that's like in your legs. Obviously the cobbles are not the same, or not, you know, they're totally, you don't feel the cobbles at all in the trainer. And that's a decisive part of this course, but nonetheless getting to feel the gradient on Libby Hill, it was pretty cool. So let's take a look at that, because that was obviously, I think, is always the decisive part in this event. It's near the end of the circuit. So first time up, and some guys are putting in some effort. So we just started the climb, and I'm sitting on the wheel. I thought I might get dropped up first time with the climb. So a couple guys are separating. One of the things I noticed is, at least in the B race, guys would go really hard on the climb and then would immediately just pull the plug over the top, or they just let their foot off the gas over the top of the climb. I don't know if that's how it goes in the A races or if that's Zwift in general, but it's something that I would suggest doing in Zwift racing. In real racing is, don't stop pedaling over the top of climbs. A lot of times, you know, if you're watching pro racing, it's over the top of the climbs where guys keep the pedal down, especially even if you have a tiny gap. All of a sudden that gap opens and then it's equal. That person, if they now are 10 meters off the back of you or 10 feet, they still have to close that gap. And when everybody's at their limit, that is a decisive moment. So you can really do a lot of damage really pinning it or accelerating over the top of the climb. So let's jump ahead. So we're coming over the top here. So let's jump ahead. We got away with a small group, and honestly, I tried to push a little bit. I wanted to see what the dynamic was like if you tried to get a group to roll, but nobody really wanted to pedal all that hard. Everybody just kind of wanted to sit in. So we were going easy. There's a group behind us, and they were, I think, about 30 seconds back at one point, and they steadily just brought us back. I think it was obvious that on the hills this was a strong group, so it didn't really matter. So you know, if you feel like your competition is in the group with you, don't sacrifice yourself pulling on the front. So at this point I was just trying to save energy, knowing that the finale is going to be hard and that's where we're going to make the difference. So whether we got caught or not by the group behind didn't really matter. And side note, there's a couple guys up the road. It was weird, I don't know what happened, but there's guys who finished like 15 minutes ahead of us who got disqualified, but on course it's gonna say that there's 2 guys ahead of us who actually are not. And I believe that we just started the climb, or we're just about to start the climb. So I think we just came past the KOM. Now there's some guys going hard on the front, and yeah, I'm doing 440. So putting out a solid effort. My plan was just go as hard as I could. Hill's only like a minute 20 or minute, you know, minute a little bit. So not very long. You got to go hard. And like, I mean, for 430 watts right now, it's not crazy. I mean, I definitely planned on kind of pushing hard over the top. But again, my legs are kind of smoked at this point. So I was actually pretty happy to be able to push 400 watts at all right now. But there's a guy on my wheel, a couple guys on my wheel, not very big gaps at this point. Everybody's going hard. I think everybody knows it's going to go hard at this point. But by the time I get to the top of this hill, now 39, 33 in, there's one guy on my wheel and we have a gap. So we have a 4-second gap to the guy behind. And I tried to accelerate over the top because I was looking at his watts per kilo and he kept going back down to like 2.5, 3 watts per kilo. So I would accelerate, it would open up to like a 1-second gap, and then I think he would get back on. And then he kept knowing when to super tuck, which I didn't really know when to do on this course. So that's another suggestion I would make is, you know, recon the course you're gonna race, see where it's faster to super tuck so you can save energy. Because on that section, he's super tucking and I'm doing like 350 watts and he's flying by me. So it's not as intuitive on Zwift racing, obviously. I think when you're outdoors, it's a lot more intuitive. So we come down, hit this other climb, kind of pushed hard again, but he's gonna stick on my wheel. And I tried to get him to do a little bit of work, but he just wouldn't. So now we're 41.50 into the race. I was just hoping he would pull through. I kind of just let off the pedals altogether, but he's just not going. We have almost a 20-second gap to the guy behind us. So I put an acceleration here, and it's delayed with the power. So it is pretty interesting that you in Zwift racing, you don't hear people's gears clicking, you don't see them go. It's a delayed reaction. So actually, I think making hard attacks is pretty effective because people are just unaware of what's happening until it's almost too late. So you can open up a gap pretty quick. So typically, I don't think an acceleration like that on the flat heading into a climb would really work that well. But I immediately opened up like 2-3 seconds on him, and now he has to close that down. And now we're on a hill, so I'm doing 7 watts per kilo, 6 watts per kilo, bouncing around, and he's cruising around like 5 watts per kilo. So he's just not going to get back on. So it's kind of fun to be able to see that. You know, I know that if I'm just keeping my watts per kilo higher than his, he's not going to make up any ground on me. So now the gap's going out to 6 seconds. I figured he was probably on his limit based on the way he was riding. So gap's going out. I'm just holding steady power, but I'm hurting at this point. And, you know, 3 stages of the Project Echelon racing in my legs, and I think at this point now I'm like 2.5 hours into my ride. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited about the fact that you know, these races will push me to put out some solid power numbers on the trainer when I could never do this to myself. If I was just sitting at home by myself, I could never do this. Just trying to finish it off. So now I'm almost 20 seconds ahead of second place, even though it says I'm in 3rd place right now. But yeah, first, I guess that was I reconned another one, but first real Zwift race after the Project Echelon meetups, which you know, more of a race actually. But first went on Zwift. Definitely gonna just probably do A races from here on out, even if I'm tired, because I feel kind of bad jumping in as like a Cat 1 guy and doing the B race. But yeah, 289 watts average, 4.7 watts per kilogram. Not bad for that point. I mean, I think this day as a whole, on this Sunday, I probably did something like 2.5 or 3 hours at like almost 300 watts. So it's a super hard day, but also really fun. So let's jump to the next one. I wanted to check out Alpe Dash. So about an hour later, I kind of cruised around for a while, joined like a little sort of a easy spin ride, and then went up Alpe Dash to kind of recon it for a future hard effort. So let's check that one out. Alright, Alpe Dash. I'd say this is the one that I've wanted to do for a while, and here we go. So I was hoping, I think I started this race nearly 4 hours into the day, and this is after the Project Echelon stage race. So 3 days of racing there, another race on the Richmond Classic course, and then jump into this one. So this I knew was gonna hurt. I just want to put out another sort of tempo-ish effort up the climb, check it out. But man, it does make you think of these guys hitting this in the 3rd week of the Tour de France, and it's like, man, I don't know how they go so fast. But this one, you know, I was hoping it might be sort of a slow roll to the base of the climb, but it was not. It was pegged. So you can see I'm doing over 300 watts. And that, I mean, when you jump back into these sort of efforts, it doesn't feel good. And especially when you know you're going to go up a massive climb, you're kind of wanting to hold back. But they're going. It's a full-on race. Just putting out more power than I want to do at this point. I don't really want to be doing 400 watts on the base en route to the base of the climb. So sitting in with a group, but we're gapped off, and those guys up front were going really hard. So they're like putting time into us super fast. So yeah, I'm just trying to save energy. Let's go ahead and jump into the climb. I was feeling okay. I was doing about 320 watts for a lot of the beginning of it, 330 watts, and it is just pretty consistently steep. And I'm not sure if I like knowing what corner you're on. It is kind of fun. They give you your average watts for each switchback, because Alpe Dash is known for having the 21 switchbacks, which are all numbered. But man, when you have a long ways to go and you're hurting already, it can turn into a long climb. So this was a long one for me, but it was really cool seeing the course. Just getting to check out what different parts look like, and you know, not too much to say about this one. I definitely started fading near the top, or not near the top, probably about halfway through my average power started slipping, which to be honest, kind of expected. I'm approaching 5 hours on the trainer at this point, so long day, but again, just stoked about the efforts that you can put out when you are motivated by getting to ride with so many people. It's an awesome way to unite the whole community of cycling worldwide all together on one platform. So really cool, I think, especially in this time with the pandemic going on, to be all together, feel that sense of community across the world. It's a really unique time that we're in right now, where everybody's experiencing similar stuff. So I have athletes, you know, in Kuwait and Turkey and all over the place, and we're all having the same conversation about what's happening right now. So pretty awesome to have this platform to unite us all and to be able to still go out and suffer together. I'm super excited. I'll continue to suss out this platform and do some racing, and hopefully bring some content to you guys and talk about my experience racing, and also hopefully help you guys out with your own racing and your own fitness. So more to come, stay tuned, and yeah, have fun. If you haven't checked out Zwift, I would suggest doing it. It's a lot more fun than I thought it would be, and I think people that know me wouldn't be surprised that I would get into this. But yeah, I'll definitely be racing. I'll have a full gas Alpe Zwift effort coming here pretty soon, probably tomorrow. So look out for that one. All right, take it easy, guys.
Remember